Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jacob from the latest tech, and as the iPhone 5 event finishes up behind me, I'd like to talk about Apple's new iPod line that they actually introduced shortly after the iPhone 5 at this event. Now, before they got into it, they pretty much talked about iTunes 11. It's built in with iCloud, and it's going to be coming in October. Now, moving on, they started to talk about the new iPod Nano. And what the new iPod Nano is going to give us is a larger touchscreen. It's 2.5 inches. It's going to have that lightning connector that we saw on the iPhone 5. It's going to have multi-touch. It's going to be 38% thinner. It's going to have a home button. And finally, a radio FM tuner. So definitely a huge upgrade for the iPod Nano. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. The price point starting at $149. Now moving on to the new iPod Touch, it's going to be a same larger screen as the iPhone 5, so it's that 4-inch screen with 5 rows of apps. It's going to be 6.1 millimeters thin, which is incredible. It's going to be 1.5 millimeters thinner than the brand new iPhone 5. I can't wait to get my hands on that. It's going to have the Apple A5 chip that we saw, I believe, with the iPad 2. It's going to have the new iSight camera with a 5-megapixel camera on the back. LED flash. It's going to be simply amazing. You'll be able to use that panoramic mode that they talked about with the iPhone 5. It's going to have the 720p HD FaceTime camera on the front like we saw rumored for the iPhone 5. It's going to have this new thing called the iPod Touch Loop. Now it's this thing on the back that's this little button that you press out and it kind of pops out. And then you buy this loop wristband thing that kind of hooks onto the button and you have a little wristband to kind of keep it on your wrist, I guess. And for the first time, they're introducing Siri on the iPod Touch with all its new iOS 6 features. And the biggest part about this is it's coming in 5 new features. And it seems like they're not going to be having that aluminum back or that really scratch-prone aluminum back. It's going to come in the 5 new features. They didn't really specify what it's going to be made of, but it doesn't look like it's going to be what we saw with previous models. Now, like I said, the new iPod Touch will be coming out in October at $149. The smallest, and I'm pretty sure the only storage size you can get is 16 gigabytes. And with the new iPod Touch, it will also ship in October, starting at $299, which is actually a big surprise. It's starting $100 more than the 4th generation iPod Touch, with a smallest storage size of 32 gigabytes. Now they're continuing to sell the iPod Touch 4th generation, so that's where you'll be able to spend that just $200 on a cheaper iPod Touch. And then, of course, with that iPod Nano, it's definitely a huge upgrade to the iPod line from Apple. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't checked out my iPhone 5 event roundup, you can check it out. Links in the description. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm Jacob from the latest tech, and I'll catch you next time.